Hello, beautiful lights, and welcome to another episode of From a Medium's Perspective. Well, we have some good things in store. We're going to be talking about clearing, and we'll be discussing clearing of spaces and also using crystals to help clear our auric field. And in the second half of our show, we're going to be listening to a tale from the other side that deals with actual house clearing that I performed and some very interesting things that occurred during that. We'll end our show with some clearing exercises for our listeners to build their own psychic abilities. There's a distinct difference between a clearing and a blessing and psychic protection. Clearing directly addresses negative energies and entities that are already interfering with the highest or most peaceful use of a space. Clearing creates a free flow of energy, removing any obstructions that have existed from the past. Blessing, on the other hand, is a dedication of that space. It's imbuing a space with sacred energy, perhaps before a meditation or as a consecration for a space that's dedicated to spiritual use. It's harmonizing the energies with divine energy, sort of staking an energetic claim to the place to be used for the highest good of all who enter there. Blessings shift the energy from the present into a higher vibrational resonance and then is sealed to hold the energy that's been set. Protection is a strengthening of our own energies, our own auric fields, or setting a parameter about a building or personal space in order to be less vulnerable to the touch, influence, or use of lower vibrational energies. It can be from people that are bothering us that are in the living or in the past or have passed over. We can only actually be subject to psychic attack if there's a part of us that hides our fear or depression, or perhaps we're easily distracted by lust or greed. Those things would open us up to psychic attack. But if those parts of us are streamlined and not vulnerable, then we're not vulnerable. And of course, there are techniques that can increase our confidence and our security in our personal protection. Protection setting the future boundaries of non-corporal activity and claiming our right to occupy, starting at the very moment of request. Clearing is an active resetting and establishing of the dominant vibration that's desired, whether in a space or an auric energy field. Like blessing and protection rituals, clearing rituals prepare the ground, creating an open, neutral space, sort of a blank canvas, with the energy of that space held by higher beings, and that makes it the most effective if you involve energies of higher vibration. If you're preparing for a daily ritual or meditation, the clearing should be done daily. Why? That's because your energy changes often, not just once a day, but throughout the day. And so setting that is important. If you're clearing a home or a space and dedicating it to that particular energy, you can do it once as long as you kind of check in and perform any repair work that becomes necessary over time. It all has to do with our intent and holding those energies. Clearings, blessings, and protections to be most effective will always include calling on the assistance of higher vibrational beings. These might be our guides and angels, the archangels, ascended masters, guardians of the pathways and directions, keepers of the realms, doorways, and portals. The level of assistance that you request should be commensurate with the energetic need of the space. As in all things, the scale of the clearing can start with our mind and body and expand to the energy field that defines us, our auric field, and then expand outward to the spaces and places that we physically occupy, our home, car, workplace. And it can extend to the sacred spaces that we create either in a building or in nature, a little grove or a little area in the forest or garden. Then it can extend to the realms and dimensions far beyond. Clearing can go throughout the totality of time, past, present, and future, and resolve issues related to past lives, etc., and prepare us for the future. It's basically a matter of removing the will, influence, intent, and thought forms of others and old messages that we carry that are not productive for us to think. By clearing them out of your space and harmonizing your setting with the vibration or tone of your present intent, you can create a safe, productive, energetic environment in which to work and live. Personal protection. It's actually our right, and making a space sacred or dedicated to a particular purpose, that brings the energy of a space into alignment with our will and for our highest good. Clearing is a combination of using objects and or techniques for our personal protection and combining those efforts with invocation or asking the assistance of those higher vibrational beings. Objects that are consecrated with psychic energy to serve a particular purpose and intent are called talismans. They're used to support desired change and their owner's environment. The ways that we clear are far less important than our intent and the strength of our will. And it's actually easy, and I believe that everyone intuitively knows how to do it. One way to think of the ways to clear is just to remember them by the five senses. For instance, hearing involves sound, so you could use drumming or chanting. You could hum a mantra. You could use singing bowls or music, toning with the Om. All of those things are useful. For sight, you could use icons or inscriptions, and that would include also mental imagery and shielding or visualizations. For your sense of smell, you could use fragrances, incense, sage, sweetgrass, essential oils, flowers. For touch, stones, crystals, feathers, necklaces, anything that appeals to your sense of touch. For taste, you can use salt, herbs would be a couple of ways. Or you could think of things in a way as physical or mental in terms of clearing. With your body, you could dance, shout, clap, stomp, spin, sing. And with your mind, you can imagine an image and visualize. So those are physical and mental ways that we could clear spaces. One of my favorite ways to feel out which way of clearing I'd like to implement in a particular situation is to divide them in my mind into the four elements. So maybe with earth, we might think of stones or crystals, wooden objects, maybe a broom, honeycomb, flowers. With water, it could be holy water or a fountain or in a bowl. Fire could be sunlight, moonlight. You could use a candle. You could set something on fire in a chalice or even a bonfire. And air, you could use incense or sage, and again, visualization techniques. These particular techniques, these general types of techniques, can be combined to fit a specific situation. And you can probably think of more ways to clear, but these are examples of objects or techniques that are used as personal protections. And as such, they assist us in focusing our intent and will in order to remove blockages and impedances, both in our own auric field and in the physical environment around us. Energy follows focus. In clearing, the objects and talismans that provide us our focus are greatly enhanced when they're combined with an invocation, or the calling in of our helpers. There are also properties of physical objects that lend their energies very well to assisting in clearing. And I thought maybe we'd take a look at some stones that are particularly helpful in clearing the energies of a space, either yours or a place, as we mentioned. One of them is citrine, another carnelian, phenacite, and topaz. And I want to point out that clearing is different than grounding, and it's also different than setting a protection. So these stones and crystals are used specifically for clearing. And you would use different stones or crystals for grounding or for psychic protection. Even though some stones that work for grounding and psychic protection, their energies blend particularly well with clearing stones, these are specifically stones that are useful for clearing energies. One thing that's kind of interesting to know, if you move your arm in a counterclockwise direction, you're taking out an energy. And if you move your arm in a clockwise direction, you're adding energy. So you might want to use that when you visualize removing negativity to the left, counterclockwise, and adding energy that's positive to the right, going clockwise. Citrine cleans and realigns the aura. It's really great at transmuting and repelling negative energy. It's the success stone, so it attracts abundance and promotes wealth. Commonly associated with our solar plexus, can also be used to cleanse and align many of the chakras. Carnelian repairs the aura, and it never needs to be cleansed. There's some debate as to whether citrine needs to be cleansed or not. Some say yes, some say no. Some say crystals are always happy if you clean them, whether they need it or not. But carnelian doesn't have to be cleansed, and it's often used to clear other stones. So you could put stones that need clearing next to carnelian. I have one in my kitchen that I'm quite fond of. And it protects against negative emotions like anger, frustration, rage, and depression. Therefore, repels negative energies. However, it also promotes positive emotions such as courage, optimism, and motivation, which is really good for setting your focus. It's a very balanced stone and therefore good for a general foundation in warding off negative vibrations. It works with the solar plexus chakra and the earth star root and sacral chakras to get rid of apathy and lethargy, and it promotes creativity, self-will, and vitality. It's a get-to-gettin' stone, carnelian. Topaz can also be a great stabilizer for volatile situations or relationships, opening all parties up to another perception, an ability to see things from a distance. And it's particularly known for transmuting negative energies into positive and can replace negative emotions with joy, happiness, peace, and generosity. It promotes healing and improves our overall physical health and well-being. Topaz happens to be my birthstone. I was born on November 26th, and so I guess all November babies, or perhaps it's a Sagittarius thing. Might want to Google that. Topaz is also a spiritual stone, and it helps us to integrate our higher energies and bring them down into our chakras and aligning our intentions with the divine mind. Topaz is also known as the stone of manifestation, so it really is great for clearing and often is used as a good luck talisman, believed to bring abundance and prosperity through clarity of thought and the determination to realize one's goals. It can also be used to attract love and enhance relationships by opening the heart. Phenacite is a lesser known and fairly rare crystal. It has a clear to milky appearance, sort of like quartz does, and can be tinged in its milky state to sort of a light, dirty yellow or ecru color, or on occasion a smoky effect. It's one of the highest vibrations of the mineral kingdom and has the innate power of pulling down energies from the higher spiritual realms and allows it to clear, heal, and activate all of the chakras. Phenacite also attracts light energy to activate the light body. So here we have citrine, carnelian, topaz, and phenacite. Really great for keeping your space and energy field clear. There are some other stones of note that you might find interesting. I'm just going to share some basic quickie descriptions of them. Amber is one of my favorite, and it's really amazing for so many reasons, one of which is that it aligns the subtle bodies with the physical body and releases negative energy. Our subtle bodies are etheric body. Amethyst heals holes in the aura and cleans it and draws divine energy in to protect the aura. Apache tear protects the aura. Bloodstone, jet, magnetite, and quartz are all very good. Smoky quartz as well, and green tourmaline for healing auric tears. You should remember to clear your stones. If you're going to use them for ritual or for your protection or clearing or as a working stone, you need to make sure that the energies are clear on your stone. There are so many different ways that you can do that, and it fits sometimes the stone itself, or it might fit you and the way that you feel the best doing it. One is to set stones in sunlight or moonlight. The other is to bury it either in earth or sand for a period of time and just let the earth heal it. Crystal sea salt, the sea salt that you can find that are in kind of the chunks there, that's a possibility to use crystallized sea salt. Some people like to smudge their crystals. They'll light some sage or a blend of dried herbs and waft that over top of the crystals. Again, it's not the way that you do it so much as the intent attached to it. Some people sweep a fan over it like a feather or other fan-like object. You can use fresh water, you can use salt water, and I just want to give a quick heads up that some stones don't do too well in salt water. Carnelian does not. Selenite, citrine, kyanite, carnelian, hematite, labradorite, opal, turquoise. Those are just some of the ones. Before you douse your favorite crystals or stones in salt water and come back and find them dissolved or scarred on their surface, you might want to Google first whether they do well in salt water or water at all. You can use some stones. Stone clearing is another way. Some stones will clear negative or unwanted energies from other stones. And these would be, you could use quartz crystal clusters. They work quite well. Amethyst works well. Carnelian, kyanite, and one of my favorites is selenite. Flower water is just a water that you make and put some blossoms, the petals of rose, honeysuckle, orange blossoms, jasmine, whatever appeals to you, or you could purchase rose water. Same caution, of course, that you wouldn't want to have things that didn't do well in water. Demagnetizing devices, using sound like the Tibetan bowls, etc., energy work, third eye breathing. I'm going to share a technique at the end of our show about how to do that to clear your crystals. Passing it through a candle flame or invoking the help of the divine or the four elements in your ritual. Whatever method you choose, the exact length of time needed for clearing depends on your personal intuition. It depends on the state of crystals. Some people say 24 hours. Some say a certain minimum number of hours. Trust your intuition and your higher self to lead you to the best methods and the time frame that you think is right for you and that particular stone. I often am asked to do house clearings and on occasion house or business blessings. And for them, they involve me reading the existing energies in the home, sensing and describing the spirits that occupy it. And then I work with the owners or tenants of the house to change the vibration of their space to better suit them. And this often involves helping resident spirits to raise their vibration. If there's a spirit that's stuck there or existing there, bothering the people that are in the physical world that occupy the space, I help them move on toward a place of love and peace. The reason that I choose to involve the owners of the space and educate them on the process of clearing is that to be effective, their will has to be freely given. Obviously, there'd be no point in clearing a house if they're going to draw a similar negative vibration in after I go. You know, people do that, and it's not because they like scary things or bad things. It just might be that they're not ready to let go of the stories that go along with that, or they might feel comfortable with the upset of energy. You know, sometimes in our lives, we get really good at surviving, but we might not be so good at how to be happy. Some people are kind of addicted to drama, and it's usually because that's how they grew up. and they really have a fear of boredom and cling to chaos. And so it's important to assess, if you're doing a house clearing for someone, that they're really on board and at a deep level want the changes that are going on there, not do that without their permission. The most difficult energies to clear are those that I call the tweeners, and you might have heard them called earthbound. They exist in the realm nearest ours, and either by their own will or because of lack of understanding, they're usually held there by fear, sometimes because they like to possess the bodies or minds of those still in the physical. The reason that they're more AKA interesting to rid a space of is twofold. One, they might not be aware of the fact that they've passed, and they might not be able to see us or might not even want to go. However, the rule is, if you're in the body, your will wins out over those not in body. In other words, material realm always trumps spirit realm. Material trumps spirit. That's just the way it is. We have the right to occupy and the authority to determine what our vibration in space feels like. So if you encounter a resistant or threatening spirit, just become more determined, outright stubborn, and ignore them, because it's your right and you don't have time for this. Literally. Clear it, bless it, and get on with your life. And that's from a medium's perspective. There are a lot of reasons that people want their homes or businesses cleared. It usually has to do with unwanted spirit activity. Might be footsteps that they're hearing. They might be hearing disembodied voices. They could be physically experiencing things. I've had one client that was being scratched. There was no one there doing the scratching as far as they could see. I had another client that was being levitated off the bed. I'm quite happy to say that I was not a witness to that. The energies were really dense, really intense. They were residual from many different generations. And as far as how to approach it, not with fear and trepidation, that's for sure, because it's very important to realize that we do have an authority over spirits. The biblical reference would be God gave us dominion over the earth, but that's maybe not a point for some of our listeners. What I do is I ask my guides before I go there to help me tailor a specific thing for that specific household. It might involve crystals or sage or physical things that help them focus their intent. It might include repeating certain things or saying phrases or affirmations that lift the vibration of the space. I usually start with a house reading where I go through and assess what's going on there. Usually I ask them not to tell me anything until I've gone through the house and I just describe the energies that I'm feeling. Then if I have for any reason overlooked an area that they wanted more attention given to, they can direct me there as well. Then we work together to clear the house. And it is so individualized. I haven't used all of the things I brought up as suggestions in the previous half hour, but one is particularly tailored to that person. I usually do them within driving distance of Roanoke, Virginia. I can do them remotely. That's an unusual situation there, too. I thought maybe we would go ahead with our tale from the other side. As you know, I really respect the contacts that I have with those on the other side. I consider it a very sacred duty to help the people here connect with those that are there and to honor the translations of their messages in an accurate way for those that are left behind. Because of the depth of emotion that people have, it's just a real honor to be trusted with their grief or their fear or their self-doubt. Today's story deals with a house clearing. I had an opportunity to work with the husband of the couple prior to that to teach him a little bit about psychic self-protection. I had asked certain things to be done before I got there, and we started going through the house. What was really interesting to me is that the spirit that was really creating a great deal of torment for the husband in particular couldn't see me. He could see them, but he couldn't see me. Actually, before then, never really occurred to me that some spirits can't see us, sort of like we can't, all of us, see other spirits. I never really thought about the fact that spirits can't see us. I don't know whether it is due to the fact that I was at a higher vibrational level. He was just unaware. And he was walking through the house, and I had gone to other areas of the house. There was an area that felt sort of S&M, very aggressive and dark, a lot of pain and lower vibrational things going on in one of the bedrooms. And then there was this area off to the side of the den, a little room, laundry room type area. I picked up a grandmother's energy in there, and she said, "Oh yes, all my grandmother things are stored there." So as I moved through the house, I started identifying different things. I went in the bedroom and felt that there might have been a stream that ran under the house. And I asked them, "Do you know if there's a stream that runs under your bedroom?" And they said, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" And I kind of shrugged because it's psychic, with the assistance of my guides, of course. I went downstairs, and there were these two beings there. One had committed suicide and the other had been murdered. They weren't really happy campers. They were just sort of hanging out because they were related to the people. So as they're going through the house, I was having them fill the house with love and peace in a particular ritualistic way, putting in a clockwise direction, love and peace into their home, and taking turns between the two of themselves to alternate and lend their energies to that endeavor. And I'm talking with the spirits telepathically behind them doing what they're doing, and pointing mentally up the stairs to the door that we had designated as the exit for the spirits to go through. They had a door that had an oval glass in it. Set your intent to an object, and so that object was passing into the next dimension for the spirits, because that's the way that it was given to me. So his grandmother's coming up the stairs, and I asked, "Did your grandmother have difficulty walking?" Because it looked like she had a cane. And they said, "Oh yes, she had a cane." And the other spirits are moving up, and we got into the area of the most intense activity, and it was actually a bathroom. When I got to the bathroom in the original circuit of the house, the reading part of the clearing, I had to back into the bathroom. I couldn't walk in directly just because the energy was so intense in there. I could see a man, the same one that had been wandering in the living room upstairs, sitting on what he thought was a bench in a shed. And he let me look through his eyes. He showed me that there were agricultural fields there. And he started to share about being born in the Depression and how he had started to work at the age of 8. And he was always looking at life from the outside in. He had never had a home, family, steady food, etc. He recounted a tale of how he had gone down the lane and would look in the windows and see the family there that lived on the bigger farm down the road. And they were eating at the table, friendly and laughing, sort of the whole Waltons look thing for him. And he just felt so isolated, embarrassed that he had to tap the door and ask if he could do something for food or for a little bit of money. He had passed without really realizing that anything had changed. So he was still trapped in that sense of watching life from the outside in. And his anger when he tried to approach the couple to ask for help, and they ignored him because they couldn't hear him. He didn't realize he was in spirit form, and they were not sensitive enough to hear his specific message. He started to get angry and more hostile. That's what had led to the spiritual abuse of the husband. The couple is going through and they're saying, "Love, love, love, nothing but love. Peace, 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 nothing but peace." And the gentleman looks at me, and he had tears in his eyes, and he was expression on his face like a child. And he said, "For me too?" He was asking, could I also have peace and love? It was really moving. And I said, "Yes, of course, for you too." I'm talking to him mind to mind. And at that instant, when he realized for the first time in his life, and albeit it was on the other side of life by quite a bit, when he realized that he could have what other people had, his anger dissipated in that instant. And there were some beings of light that came to escort him up the stairs into that next step of his evolution and unfoldment. And it really was one of the most touching experiences that I've had as a medium. I thought it was just incredible. And a reminder for us all that it's our state of mind sometimes that separates us from an awareness of the good things around us, the love that exists perhaps in our pets or nature or the friendly hand of a stranger or friend. We tend to want things to come to us particularly one way or another and feel that we're sometimes alone and unwanted. But we're missing the sunshine and we're missing the roses. And you can call that Pollyanna, optimistic thinking, but it's all in how we see things. As we become connected to things greater than ourselves, we are able to embrace more and more connection with other people and other spirits, if you choose to expand your development in that way as well. And that's our tale from the other side. Let's get our psychic knuckles cracking. Today I promised you that I would teach you how to breathe through your third eye to cleanse stones, to cleanse crystals that can be used for clearing other things. You know, meditation is really beneficial in many aspects of our being. It affects us mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And it also physically relaxes the body and relieves tension. It slows our heart rate and lowers blood pressure, and it relieves stress and quiets our mind and brings a sense of calm and serenity. And you don't have to have meditations just for blanking your mind out or eliminating thoughts. You can actually use that time to develop your intuition and learn from the higher sources. And you can cleanse and purify your thoughts and emotions that will strengthen your experience here in the physical world. So this technique is called third eye breathing. If you got your crystal that you want to cleanse, you can get in a private place and ground yourself. Let your energies connect with the earth and really relax. Be aware of your breath. The breath is where the soul comes and goes from the body, and life occurs on the other side and on this side between the breaths. And visualize yourself breathing in white light through your third eye chakra. That's right on your forehead. Breathing that white light in through your third eye chakra and back out. And then hold the crystal in your hand at the third eye level and breathe white light from your third eye to the crystal with the intention of clearing any unwanted and negative energies. As you breathe in and breathe out and feel the flow of light and energy through your third eye, you can repeat that maybe 3 times or more if the crystal doesn't feel cleared yet. That's just one way that we can clear crystals for our use. There's another technique that I'd like to share with you. It's just removing attachments. We all get gummed up with other people's expectations and energies and thought forms and things. So when you're taking your shower the next time, you can just stand in the shower, and as the water rolls down your body, you can imagine that these attachments which come in along your spine, I kind of picture them looking like little snakes or eels or something like that. Then imagine as the water flows off of you that they just detach, and that the places that they detach become clean and clear. And then just continue to let them go down the drain and to allow your energy to shine and for you to heal all of those attachments, all those expectations of other people that are not important in your life. We're responsible for creating our own happiness or unhappiness. And by letting go of the expectations of others, we can more clearly hear our inner voice and be free to make decisions based on those truths that are evident within each of us. Really enjoyed the show and hope that you did as well. In our next episode, we're going to be talking about psychic protection in some detail and hope that you'll join us. And of course, we'll be sharing another tale from the other side and some interesting things to build your psychic abilities. And we'll see you next week for a view of life from a medium's perspective. And remember, it's never inappropriate to be kind, and without integrity, you have nothing. Thank you for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.